Hello again everyone, Ken from Whittling Woods back again with another little tutorial. Today we're going to title this one, The Pen is Mightier Than the Sword, or in this case, the number 2 pencil is mightier than the whittling knife. What I intend to do here is show you briefly, I won't spend too much time on it, I'll try to make this a relatively short tutorial. The last couple have been relatively long, so let's do this one really quick. We're not going to do any whittling today. I'm going to talk about designing the character for whittling. So let me just get things set up, put my knife away, and get the camera all set up for this demonstration, and I'll be right back. Okay, the way I go about it is essentially I'll take a piece of paper like this college ruled paper, or any type of ruled paper, and in reality it doesn't even have to be, but sometimes it makes it easier to use ruled paper. And I'm thinking of the, I know the size wood I want. Let's say it's 3 inches by 1 inch. Or whatever the dimensions are. It really doesn't really make a difference because you can scale it to any way you want. And I'll look at this and I'll say, well, I'm going to make 4 lines this distance equal to 1 inch. So basically we're going to say from here to here is 1 inch. So if I take a little piece of wood and I mark that 1 inch mark on here, then I'm going to carry it across the top over here, excuse me, and I'll mark this. So now I know from here to here is also 1 inch, and that's going to be the dimensions of the wood. Whatever like I said, whatever piece of wood you're going to use, we're going to assume it's 1 inches, and this is how we're going to scale it when we're doing the drawing here. So as I mentioned, my piece is going to be 3 inches long. So if 4 of these little lines, these rules on here represent 1 inch, then we're going to come down another eight lines. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So right to there. So essentially scaling this from here to here, we're going to say is 3 inches. And then again, we'll use our little block of wood to scale it. And we're going to say right about, let me make sure I got the right one here. Okay, there we go. From here to here. So basically, there's our block of wood. So right away now we have an idea. We have the wood in scaled format on a piece of paper. I like to always work in thirds on mine. So I'm going to put a line here and then come down 4 more, 1, 2, 3, 4, and put a line there. And I typically say head, body, legs. So that's kind of how I look at it. What I'll also do now is I'll come across here, because we're going to do this front facing, so front and side. So I'm going to come down here. Let's mark it over here so we have reference. I'm going to come down here. We're going to assume our block is 1 inch square. So this is going to be the front, this is going to be the side. So what we can do here is make sure that our sketch and our scaling in terms of the features kind of match up. So let's think how we're going to go about this. The other thing I like to do before I even start, and I do this on the piece of wood that I'm going to whittle. I'll mark. You've seen me do this in other videos. I'll mark a center line right down the piece of wood on all planes. Just helps for reference sake. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to put a center line down. And you can see I'm not using any measurements. I mean, we can all guesstimate centers. So there you go. So now we have lots of little lines we can work towards. What I typically like to do is figure that let's start with let's start with the head. I divide that up pretty much in half for placement of the eyes and the top of the nose. So again, the advantages of using ruled paper like this, we have a halfway mark built in for us. So right about there is our halfway mark. And then I kind of put a little dot and a little dot. And we're assuming the figure is going to be facing forward. We're not, this isn't an angled figure. We're going to be talking about it facing forward. So we have that already. We have the eye reference already. What I like to do then is actually I come down a little bit further. I like to have the head area, the chin, go into this body area a bit. And you can, depending on what type of character you're going to make, but let's say we're going to maybe take it down. We'll split that first rule in half and we'll take it down to there. So we already have the reference for our chin, lower chin, and our two eyes. What I come in here then next and do is I find the middle point between here and here. So the bottom of the chin and where the eye, that's or where the top of the nose and the brow is going to be. And about that midpoint is where my nose is going to wind up. The bottom of my nose is going to wind up. So we're going to say approximately right in here. And then we're also going to note it over here as well. And then I draw just kind of a rough indication. And I want to warn people right off the bat here, if you're an artist, if you're someone who's an illustrator, an artist, turn this off right now, because you're going to probably be appalled at my drawing skills. I don't pretend to to have the greatest drawing skills, but they suffice for what I'm doing. So there you go. We're going to have a little nose in here. And then what we can do on this side here is typically we have our bottom point over here. We know it on this route. We can carry the nose up like so, just like that. So we're building our feature. We're building our figure out. What I like to do at the top of the nose, this is the brow. This is the point where your nose and your eyes kind of come together before the point right below your eyebrows. That kind of angles back out again, just like so. What I do then is I come up here and I follow almost the same slope as the nose, and then I start to curve it, just like so. We're going to also move our reference point for our chin right down here, and then we're going to put just a little indication of where the nostril will be, and then we're going to come underneath here and put the indication. This line here is about midway between the chin and the nose. That's going to be our lip. So we're going to kind of come into there, and we're going to form just a bit of an indication of a lip over there. So we kind of have references for where our features are going to be. Same thing over here. We're going to have the mouth, maybe curving up a little bit on this side, and curving up a little bit on that side. What I like to do for the eyes is just put kind of a reference in from where that brow mark is. I kind of come down at an angle, and just like so, I put a little reference for an eye over there. And then I'm going to carry my lines up on each side and back around. These are just basic, these are sort of kind of mimicking the cuts we're going to make if you've seen me do eyes before. That's going to be how it works out. And then a little bit of the lower eye over here. What I do for the chin is I start to come up here, because the ears, we're going to say, start at about the midpoint of the head, and this is going to be where that line is. So, and right where the eyes are. So we're going to come up here for the ears, and we're just going to draw in roughly where our ear is going to be, and they end about where the mouth is, give or take. So we'll kind of come down and around. We'll form a rough ear like that. Our jaw line is going to come right up to where that ear is. So there you go. We've got the basic figure. Then we can kind of round out the head. The head's just going to come back and around and just tie in over here, just like so. This is a basic figure design, just somewhere where you can sketch it, and sort of it helps as you're sketching these figures out. If you do this ahead of time, it'll be beneficial because you've already worked out some of the maybe details. We're going to put just a little indication where the parts of the ear are going to be here, give or take, just like so. And then we're going to carry our jawline up on the sides, however you want. If you want it to have a broader jaw, you can start to manipulate here and start to change features a little bit. I like to kind of come up, start to square it off a bit, especially for male figures. We'll square it off, angle in just a bit towards the eyes, and then come out and bring it back up for the head. And if you don't get it right exactly, that's what an eraser's for. Come back in and just make erase it out and just kind of go with it. I put an indication here, so if I'm going to do ears, I just trying to draw them in right here, so I know exactly when I'm looking at the piece of wood, when I'm marking my boundaries on the wood, I know where to put indications of ears. We're going to put little marks for smile lines, and these are going to be nostrils and smile lines. And then there you go. We have the head pretty much done. So now when you take your piece of wood and you divide it up the same way into thirds, you can if you want to sketch it in on the wood, or if you just want to use your reference, your drawing reference as you're whittling, you're going to know right off the bat a lot of this wood here, if he's bald in this case, is going to have to come out. All this wood is going to have to come out. So as you're looking at the features, if I'm looking at it from the front and this is the head, I know, this area and this area, and I'm going to have to whittle that wood away. So you can take the information you have from your drawing and it'll guide you in terms of the cuts that you make here. We're going to assume he's got his hands in his pockets over here, which is kind of a typical way to do it. I like to go, this is the belt line. I'll put the pockets kind of down, slightly angled like that. And then I'll come up here for an indication of where the hands are coming. And depending on what type of guy he is, it's his belly might round out a bit. So what I do here for the head, for the shoulders, I kind of angle those down as well. So I come down from that point just below the ears over here, just at the midpoint of that jawline, and I kind of put a rough line in here for where his shoulders are going to be. And then his hands and everything else are going to come up at slight angles, like so. Just these are rough guides to kind of help you along here in terms of understanding how you're going to be whittling your little character here. This is his pants line. We're going to put his shoes in. Again, the advantage of using the ruled paper here, we're going to say his shoes are right here. So put little V line in there, just like we do when we cut our wood, and another cut off over here. And he's got his shoes, and his pants are going to kind of come down on the sides over here in front of the shoes, and over here as well. So there you go. You got your basic character in here. You could start then putting the details that you think you want to whittle. Maybe his belly comes down slightly below, like so. You want to put collars on the character. You can kind of sketch that in, go back like that if you want to give him some kind of shirt that he's got on. If you want to put indications of buttons. You can start working out what type of character you want to have here. And then we'll carry it around to the side view as well, to the profile view. What I like to do here, I typically look at the midpoint of the knee over here. Again, the advantages of using the line. The knees are the body should be kind of knees pointing forward a bit. So that's the way I do it. Kind of like that. That's going to be the knee area in here, and that's good. Then I carry that right down to the center point, because these are going to be his pants. They're all going to be in here, and then his shoes are going to come down like so, just like that. And then for the back, we'll follow the same thing. We'll come up almost to the back, almost to the edge of the piece here, and we'll kind of come up. Again, the back of the knee is going to come in over here. It's going to come right up to almost where his pants are. And carry that right up. Typically on your back, what you're going to find is it kind of curves in over here. So what I like to do is, again, I start angling that in this, in that direction, and then I kind of bring it out a bit for where the shoulder blades would be, and then back up to the neck, just like that. For the front of the body, depending if he's going to have a little bit of a belly, let's bring his belly out to here. We said it was going to go beyond his pants a bit. So let's bring it out a bit. and then maybe curve it in. So he's got a little bit of a belly there. And then simply for his hands, we said his pockets are going to be right here. They're going to come past that halfway mark, just like so. And this is where we're going to start forming the pocket in his pants. And his hands are going to his arms are going to come basically up like that. We saw where where the elbows are, and just angled upward. Kind of like so. And that's basically it. That's just a simple way to design a character. And obviously, then you can take it in many different ways. You can you can change the character around. You can turn them into different different types of characters. However you want to take it is then at this point up to you. But there you go. Now when you're whittling, you're going to be able to you're going to know right off the bat. You're going to be able to keep things fairly consistent from the side to the front. Sometimes it's difficult to think in 3 dimensions when you're whittling a piece, but now you're going to know, again, this wood's going to come out, all this wood's going to come out. There's going to be when you make that cut for the back of his legs over here, that's going to have to come in. You'll be able to use these sketches that you make as a guide. You don't have to necessarily sketch it on here on the wood. I would recommend you do the third marks and the center lines, definitely. Maybe put an indication for where this center line for the eyes would be, and maybe the chin, and maybe his shoes, stuff like that. That's always helpful. On the side, maybe, you want to put in a little indication of where his pocket would be. But again, you're going to be constantly whittling, so these lines are going to come off. So it's good to kind of work this way first. And again, if you're uncomfortable sketching and what have you, then you could just go right to the wood and not even worry about it. I find this kind of fun to do because then I can, as I'm doing this, I can design other characters. This is a basic bald-headed, straight on type of character without a lot of distinguishing features, so to speak. But it gives you kind of a starting point. What I also then like to do, I'm going to show you some quick examples here. These are other character designs. Then you can kind of take it to the next level. Maybe, okay, this character I know is going to have a bit of a little cigar or some kind of thing he's got, and he's holding in his mouth. And maybe he's got a little smirk on this side. And maybe his nose is a little bit bigger, and maybe he's squatter, or he's got a shorter forehead, all those kind of things. Maybe his eyes are looking out this way. You can kind of start designing your characters. The other thing you're going to want to keep in mind, I want to make sure that I leave a little wood in here so I can cut away and create a little bit of a bulge over here for where his pockets are, because his hands are going to be in there. I'm going to also consider the wrinkles in the back of his pants. So I want to make sure I'm looking, I can do that. I'm designing that into it. Maybe the wrinkles where his elbow is going to be the same kind of thing. Maybe his belly's going to come down like so, whatever, however you want to do it. Maybe he's got a V-neck on, and you can kind of put that in there. You can start playing around with different ideas, and then take it to another level. Let's say we want to work on a little Santa character. Same thing. We started out a little differently here. What I did is I broke it up into 4 chunks because he's got a tall hat on. So the upper part is going to be predominantly where the hat's going to be. And then we follow the same principle. We go around here and we just design, here he's got a beard. So his hair and his beard are going to kind of frame his face out. His nose is a little rounder. We build all that into it. He's got a belt on, so it's pulling in over here, maybe slightly where his belly is. He's got bigger buttons. We're going to put that in there. He's got fringe on his pants, on the bottom of his coat. He's got black boots on that maybe have a little heel on them, like so. He's got the little tassel on his hat. You can start playing around with it and working with it. When you go to your piece of wood, you're going to already have worked through some of the design features, and it's going to just make you've already sort of whittled it mentally by doing some. At least I find it helpful that way. And again, take it whatever way you want. Here's another kind of character. He's got, this time I said, oh, you know what? Maybe his toes will be sticking out from this long robe he's got on, and he's got wrinkles in the robe as it bunches up at the bottom. He's got real long beard, real long hair. He's got a beakier nose. So again, we follow the same design principle, same thing. Again, you can see here, we broke it up into 3. We created a line for the eye point, a middle line over here, so we can kind of reference where the arm's going to be, and keep ourselves in check in terms of how we're going to go about the whittling. When you get to your piece of wood, you can use these references. It doesn't necessarily turn out exactly like this. You might change it as you go, but this will give you something to work with initially to get a design in mind. And I think hopefully that's a way you can go about it. I want to talk real quickly about one other way that you can possibly design things as well. I'll be right back. Okay, just real quickly here. A lot of us have different types of tablets or phones. You can download software that has drawing programs. There's a lot of free ones out there. They just allow you to sketch. You can take, this is a little pen type thing, that stylus that comes, I think was bought separately. My son and wife bought this for me a number of years ago. This is a little tablet here, and you can do the same thing. You come in here and it allows you to basically, let me just get it to where it should be. It allows you to sketch just like on paper. I'm sorry that it's probably not very clear. I'm trying to keep the glare down from the lights, but again, it'll allow you to come in here and sketch and design whatever you want that way. The advantages of using something like this is you can erase pretty easily. It gets rid of the marks you want. You can set layers. If you're not comfortable using software and digital stuff like this, the pen and the pencil and paper works fine. I just wanted to show you this for people who have it. This is another way to go about it. Things like this allow you to do layers, so you can have multiple pictures on here. Let's say the Santa, but I also have that guy on there as well. It's there. You can create many drawings on here, and sometimes it's easy to do, and then you can send these directly to the printer like I did and print it out. It's another way. I use this sometimes. I still like the pencil and paper way initially. Gives me some ideas, but this is another alternative to designing little character type carvings that at least the way I like to do them. They're not overly detailed. They're usually fairly small, 3 inches to 4 inches, 1 inch 3/4 in width and depth. So, but that's just another possible way you could go about, your whittling. We have, the old pen and paper or pencil and paper, and we have the digital way. Maybe you use a ruler. Sometimes it helps if you have different color pencils. Let's say you want to emphasize something on your drawing, maybe some feature in his face or whatever. If you have a different color pencil, that might help, emphasize as well and give you something, some more detail, allow you a little bit more flexibility. And then, you can either transfer it to your piece. You can scale it directly if you choose on your piece. I don't typically do that because I don't find it that helpful. I like to just to sketch something out and get an idea of what I want to whittle. Then I go to the piece of wood and I just put basically the same references we start with, the center lines and the third marks and all that, and then I take it from there. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to give you that quick little way of, this is part of the whittling hobby, designing little whittles, not always following necessarily a tutorial or someone else doing it like me or the numerous other channels that are out there, but designing your own little fella to do or gal. Try it out. Just sketch your own your designs out and see how they come out. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, I hope you found it helpful and useful. Let me know if in the comments what you thought, if this was not very useful or was it useful. I'd be interested to know. So anyway, that should take care of things for now. Have a great whittling week. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.